Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the show. If you'd like to support this channel, there's PayPal and Patreon links in the info box below. Got a great one lined up for you today. Take some friggin' cannonball shots at a pretender clown, Professor Day. But let's roll on over to our panel to see who we got in there today. Who we got in there? The beautiful Betty Van Velzen.
Yay, that's me.
How's it going up there in the Netherlands, Betty?
Yeah, they thinking about an app so that we can know whether we are getting near someone infected or not. What do you guys think about that?
An app?
An app, yeah.
What?
And it will show you when you're going into an area where there's much infections and something like that, I think. And it will tell you you've been now too close to someone infected. You need to self-quarantine yourself.
Well,
Self-quarantine.
well, wait a second. Where is the app at?
They are going to make that available soon. They are going to test it and not make it compulsory yet, but they thinking about doing it when there's not enough coverage.
Yeah, but where's the app originating? Is there one app and somebody's monitoring one side of the app? Where's the app?
On your phone.
What if I don't got a phone?
Then you're about to get one.
I should have waited then, right? Maybe for another year. Yeah, because I was forced to buy a phone.
Phones will coming near your house.
Yeah, I was forced. I was drug into the 21st century, kicking and screaming.
I counted. By whom? Exactly.
People.
Yeah.
And reasons. And listen,
Guilty.
we got right into this discussion. We didn't even introduce the other member of our panel, the distinguished, the Adam Meakin. Sir.
Good evening, everyone. Evening, John. Evening, Betty.
Good evening.
Nice to be here, enjoying lockdown.
Enjoying lockdown.
How do you like those padded walls, Adam?
I'm a free man. I could at any point take my NHS card, just get in the car and go for a drive.
Oh, that's
life's
right.
No different for me, mate. I never go out anyway. In terms of either at work or at home, so it's just the family's all at home all the time. Do you know what I mean? So it's a bit weird, very weird. Nobody knows what's going off, do they? But
yeah.
No, they don't.
I think I saw something like that being trialed in China. They were you scan a QR code as you go through certain areas. It then logs and tracks you, and it tells you if that somebody then who has been confirmed, it compares their trace routes and gives you risk alerts and stuff like that. So it sounds like pandering to the paranoid.
Yeah, they're doing that. Of course.
It sounds scary.
I mean, if they're doing this in China, right? Then and now they having those same ideas. You have to trust your government to be not going rogue on you, right? Because they can use this bad.
Never trust government. Isn't that why Americans have the right to bear arms?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. It's in a constitution that we had a long time ago in the Netherlands because Obama came looking for it. A lot of things are based on that sort of treaty that we had in the Republic of the Netherlands back in years ago. But they took our weapons, so we can't fight back.
The Republic of the Netherlands?
Yeah, we have had once a Republic of the Netherlands, yes.
And the United States.
Know your history.
And the United States was supposed to be a republic too. I remember saying the Pledge of Allegiance a number of times, and I heard Republic in there. I'm sure I did. Can somebody show me? Can somebody show me where that republic went? Or did it even ever exist? Yeah, but we don't want to go down that road. I don't want to go there. I don't want that. We're getting off topic here.
Are we?
Ruff, give me some.
It's still on the flat Earth.
Only big
Mate,
dogs
it's
bark.
excited the dogs. Those dogs know that there's an invasion of liberty going off right now.
Well, Adam is going to release the dogs.
I didn't let them out. Maybe that's the next song we could do, John. That's
I tell you what, I agree with what you said before, Adam, because, and maybe justifiably so, that people are acting a fool now. More so than usual. And we, Adam and I, and Betty, have sort of come to the conclusion that the problem is they haven't laid down a track yet. See, Adam and I, we're good. We already laid down our tracks. So, for you guys to get out of this foolishness, you got to lay down a track. You need to send it to me. Tracking?
You mean sing?
it's the only vaccine for corona fear porn.
That's right.
It just liberates you of it.
Laying down the tracks, huh?
Lay a track down, Betty. We're waiting for you.
Oh, the pressure's on.
Through the
The pressure would be
Mississippi
fine. I like
darkness. Now, you ruined it, Adam. Go on.
What?
Go on, Adam.
I was just saying, Under Pressure. That's a great song. That'd be fine, Betty.
I wanted to do that, but he didn't.
Who didn't?
Gonna do a duet.
You didn't. You did some oldie. And dating yourself big time with that one.
I love that song. Arlo Guthrie, man. That's a great song. Always loved it ever since I was a kid.
And I must say, with the whole lyrics, it's really difficult to get all these words out and audibly, and we could hear you well. So you can even listen to the song.
Well, I asked Nathan for his. I wanted an honest opinion because I know I can't friggin' sing. Duh. Right? But I wanted an honest opinion. And he said, you know what? Other than being flat, I mean, it didn't hurt your ears. You were just flat. Nothing wrong with being flat, folks. Ah! Thanks, man. Thanks, Nathan.
Well, tell that to any girl, right?
Yeah, we're not talking about that.
He didn't want to shoot himself in the face when he heard yours, then.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
That's an improvement on mine. That's what his response to mine was. So can't be all bad, John.
I really do think it's a cure. Like I said, people have been acting strange and justifiably so, I think. So I find myself maybe trying to reach for some patience that I don't have. But maybe the Lord can give me a little bit. I think it's warranted.
Well, even the
there's
Lord
lots of
can do
hospitals
so
in
much.
the States looking for the same thing.
Yeah.
Even the Lord can do so much, John. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I know that. I know that it's hard. It's one of those things, we all have our failings, and that I have many, and that's one. Patience.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Patience.
Yep, never had it.
Well, it's one of the 9 fruits of the Spirit.
So I'm gonna get the Pauline rescue, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting that today.
I'm sorry, I had to go there. I don't know why.
Don't start, Van Belton. Don't start.
She missed her calling. She should have been a motivational speaker.
Oh, yeah.
Too funny.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I took it the wrong turn.
yeah, wrong turn. Nah.
I hope you can straighten the path for us again.
It was a right turn. There's nothing wrong with your turn. So we got a few people lined up here. Probably to expose Professor Dave. I hope Professor Dave's here. That's what I was hoping. Can somebody send him a message, tell him to come on over here? Because I'm gonna give him a proper ass whooping. Yeah. This is bad.
Does that mean that you're going to debate him?
Debate?
Yeah.
Debate. He doesn't know what the second law of thermodynamics is, and he claims he has a chemistry degree.
But he is a professor.
He's a where? At the Rocco Clubbo School for Typewriter Maintenance?
The Corona typewriter, you mean?
Yeah, I don't know where he's a professor at.
Search on that, and I did come across a video of his own. To be fair, even though on multiple times, I remember being when he appeared on Globebusters, in the chat with him, asking him what his professorness, and never got an answer. So there is a video out there where he explains, necessarily justify why he continues to use the title, but he explains why he first did it for his YouTube channel. I don't think he does.
Are we talking? Excuse me, Adam. Do you have the right professor?
But he's not a professor. That's the point. From his own video admission, Dave does have a degree in chemistry. He went to try and I'll stand to be correct because it's a while ago I saw it, but he went to do a master's degree in chemistry, flunked out, became a musician, ended up getting a teaching assistant's job in the chemistry department. The teacher left, he became head of the thing. The school kicked him out because he wasn't qualified, and he was starting the second attempt at a master's course, which he flunked again. I think that's where he then started to do his YouTube shows with what he'd learned in the classroom under the guise of Professor Dave. So,
Really?
But I think it's now for someone to continue at this point, certainly in this arena, it's disingenuous for me to be using that title.
Listen, look at Adam's done his homework. I didn't know any of that. Are you saying, because I don't want to ad hom the guy, are you saying that he said that in one of his videos, all that you said?
Yeah, it was his video. So I say respect the man. He's not hid it. It's out there if you want to see it. My only point is I think it's at this point now, it's disingenuous.
I didn't think I needed to. I could tell just from the substance of what he speaks, especially on the Globetard Brain Trust. I was like, you're a professor of chemistry? You'd fail freshman biochemistry. There's no question. He'd fail. I'm going to show that here today. This is ridiculous. Not even biochemistry, chemistry. Organic chemistry, he'd fail. It's just that simple, folks. This is a belly laugher. And I'll tell you what, he got hordes of people following him too. Him and the other professor. Professor Phil Bell. You're next. I promise you. If I'm still taking breath, you're next. And I'll tell you what, it ain't going to be pretty. All right, so we want to kick this off. Let's kick this off. Or any old...
we'd better.
Go ahead, Betty. Any old business?
No, I said we'd better kick it off. Otherwise, we're going on a different tangent.
Yeah, we'll be on that. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't mind that, but it's time to get down to business. So
someone calls him Pastor Phil Bell.
Who is it? Who they call Pastor Phil?
Yeah, Dank says Pastor Phil Bell.
Oh yeah, Dank. Thank you very much, sir. I didn't thank you before. You know what I'm talking about. All right, we ready to roll, Adam? Any last?
I'm muting up.
Look at that. That's mic discipline, folks. Like I said, this entire discussion revolves around the second law of thermodynamics. I've had a lot of requests over the past 4 or 5 months to just do a presentation on the second law. And I was thinking about it's hard to do it without context, right? And then there's another barrier too. I don't know where or how far to go and where to stop. Sometimes I have problems with that because this is one of those laws where it's self-evident, but you can get in the weeds here and get lost, right? So we're just going to brush on the surface. All I need to do is brush the surface maybe a little bit deeper, maybe just below 4 mica deep to expose this clown. That's all I need to do. Let's roll. Second law of thermodynamics. And these are natural laws, by the way. And being natural laws, the laws of thermodynamics, they do not enter the scientific method. I know that's a shock for people, but there's nothing science about these. Now, I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm just saying that they're not scientific. No natural laws have ever entered the scientific method. If you have a problem with that, go back. I discuss it in one of my science presentations, Master's Science Education. Go back there and you'll get the spiel on that. So the second law of thermodynamics, mathematically speaking, this is it. It's not that scary. This isn't tensor calculus. Change of entropy of the universe equals the change of entropy of the system plus the change of entropy of the surroundings greater than or equal 0. Now, in English, summed up very simply, from Chem Libre text, the second law of thermodynamics can also be stated that all spontaneous processes produce an increase in the entropy of the universe. That's what this equation says in English, right? It's not that difficult. Now, we could get difficult real quick, but like I said, I'm just going to brush on it. If you change this left-hand side of the equation to Gibbs free energy, put a G over in here, this equation can reduce down to Gibbs free energy. Standard state Gibbs free energy change. This is a biggie, right? As Adam's going to attest to, you need to know this. This is day one. Not even day one. They expect you to know this before you even get into general chemistry, let alone organic. Day one, you're expected to already know this is foundational. Like I said, isn't she a beaut right here? And this is where the rubber meets the road. This is anyone that starts talking smack about the second law. I just bring up Gibbs free energy. They think it's a disco band from the 70s. That's how I know they're clown showing. But this guy tries to use it. At least he heard of it. No, but he tries to use it against us. That ain't going to happen there, clown show. And I'm going to show why here in a few. So this relationship here is critically important. And the result will tell you whether a reaction will be spontaneous or non-spontaneous. It's just this simple. Delta G positive, if this number's positive over here, the reaction is non-spontaneous. If the delta G, if this is a negative number, then the reaction that's being evaluated be spontaneous. It's just that simple. Now, we can get into the weeds here with enthalpy. There's no doubt about it. Enthalpy is just the heat of reaction, right? There's some special circumstances here you got to take into account with exergonic and exothermic reactions. But we're not going to go there. We don't need to. I just want you to understand this is the bottom line right here. Delta G positive, delta G negative. Non-spontaneous versus spontaneous, and you're in like Flint. P.S. I'm going to crush your pretender clown balls with this in a few minutes, Davey. Stay tuned. All right, where are we at? So we're going to listen to Professor Dave. I've written it up for you, and you're going to hear him right now. We might do it twice. Depends. See how I feel. Here we go.
Honestly, I'd like to take this a little bit further because it's not just flat Earth. Honestly, I'd like to take this a little bit.
Say again. Did somebody interrupt? Hello? We good?
No, nothing. But it seemed to sound double.
It seemed to sound double there. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure everything's
It was me, John. Sorry, it was literally me, very badly timed. And then I muted instantly. Sorry.
It was No, did you want to add something before we started? Go ahead.
Yeah, just if you just scroll up just a little bit, I think just in terms of delta G negative positive, the non-spontaneous and spontaneous isn't just down there. Look, that's about chemical feasibility. of it happening, not endo-exothermic reactions. So it's either got the plausibility to occur in a chemical situation, or it hasn't. And sometimes the way I'm viewing it sometimes is delta G's negative is a spontaneous thing. Delta G positive is a biological thing.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be biological for delta G.
No,
positive.
but in terms of to create those sorts of molecules, the pharmacist in me is.
I shouldn't even
would view it as a product of it's not an impossible molecule, but it's an impossible chemical production.
Listen, I shouldn't even have I should have kept going when I heard your mic open. Hold on 1 second. See, this is where we can get in the weeds. This is standard state. Remember I said this is a standard state Gibbs free energy change. Now, standard state conditions do not apply to biochemistry or biology. This term or this variable right here will be delta G aught prime for biochemistry. Adam, I don't think we want to go down this road right now.
We don't. You prefaced it at the beginning. And I couldn't help myself. So, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's no problem, folks.
Adam, you're right, John. It's where you should go.
Yeah, Adam, I apologize to the audience. Adam is a pharmacist. He studied this stuff, this chemistry in biochemistry and biology. Now, it has this delta G is standard state right here. It has a sister. It's called delta G aught prime. It has a little aught above here and a notch prime for biochemistry. Do not want to go down that road right now. You guys don't need to know that out there. Let's just stick with delta G. Okay? All right. Like I said, I'm going to crush his pretender clown balls with this in a few minutes. All right. Are we ready? No, that's rhetorical, by the way. Let's roll.
Honestly, I'd like to take this a little bit further because it's not just flat earthers who cite the second law of thermodynamics. It's also creationists and things like that. And they try to use it to imply that order cannot be spontaneously created. But this is absurd. Just put water in an ice tray and put it in the fridge, in the freezer. You get an ice cube, right? An ice cube is ordered, right? Why? What is happening? Because spontaneity is not just entropy; it's also enthalpy, right? The electromagnetic force, the attraction between these molecules, is creating the ordered structure spontaneously. Order can arise spontaneously. So this second law of thermo as just sort of a catch-all. What you're saying can't happen really just stems from a misunderstanding of that law, plain and simple.
All right, we're going to do that again. I want you to pay close attention, listen to what he says. It's up here on screen for you also. Listen to how he associates the second law of thermodynamics with order. Ordered, order, right? Listen to him again.
Honestly, I'd like to take this a little bit further because it's not just flat earthers who cite the second law of thermodynamics. It's also creationists and things like that. And they try to use it to imply that order cannot be spontaneously created. But this is absurd. Just put water in an ice tray and put it in the fridge, in the freezer. You get an ice cube, right? An ice cube is ordered, right? Why? What is happening? Because spontaneity is not just entropy; it's also enthalpy, right? The electromagnetic force, the attraction between these molecules, is creating the ordered structure spontaneously. Order can arise spontaneously. So this second law of thermo as just sort of a catch-all. What you're saying can't happen really just stems from a misunderstanding of that law, plain and simple.
Plain and simple. Plain and simple, you just bashed your head in with a shovel. But you can get away with that with your retarded subs because they have to be dumber than you. But say that is the most preposterous. This paragraph, right? I couldn't believe it when I first heard it. I couldn't believe. I don't even know. The language is incapable of encapsulating the crackerjack science acumen with this. It's shocking. I'm going to show you why, and I'm not just saying that with hyperbole, right? We're going to go step by step through what Davey just said up here. Okay? Thank you, Lord. That's what I said. Pretender clown, plain and simple. Let's summarize. This self-inflicted, boneheaded shovel in the face of a catastrophe. Then I'll systematically, step by step, rip every single claim to shreds. So number one, Davy's targets are special. They're creationists and flat earthers. Davy, that's two stereotype fallacies right out of the gate. Number two, Davy couches two-lot in terms of order. Like I showed you up here, you've heard him no less than 4 times up here, right? You guys are following this. It's very important. Number one, it's a straw man, and I'm going to show you why it's a straw man here in a moment, and erroneous, which he referenced, like I said, 4 times. I'm going to show you that it is erroneous, not just say it. The subject there, that is the creationist and flat earthers' alleged misunderstanding of the second law of thermodynamics via order. That was plain to see from what he said. And this clown uses the phase transition of water at low temperatures, ice or ice cubes, as his proof of order rising spontaneously. That's real impressive, brother. So number one, creationist, like I said, that's a stereotype fallacy, and we might as well stay right here since we're on the second law and creation versus, I don't know, what's the other choice? There really isn't any. So, Davey, you're not a creationist. If not, can you please regale us on your next YouTube load up with your scintillating scientific explanation on how you can stand in direct contradiction with the laws of thermodynamics and quantum mechanics, bum sniffer? Even your very own pseudoscience priests know there was a beginning. Creation. You see that beginning? See, if something begins and it wasn't there, then it was created. Creation. You see the connection? I doubt it. Even the pseudoscience, their own pseudoscience priests tell them that, but what they do is they go to Talk Origins or Evo or Us sites and just parrot shit they just heard without thinking about it. So let's see about this creation in their pseudoscience priests. From Alexander Valenkin, Many Worlds in One. He's we're going highbrow here, brothers. These 3 I'm going to give you a real highbrow. It is said that an argument is what convinces reasonable men, and proof is what takes to convince even an unreasonable man. With the proof now in place, cosmologists can no longer hide behind the possibility of a past eternal universe. There is no escape. They have to face the problem of a cosmic beginning. Why is that? That's rhetorical, by the way. He didn't go into it here. Let's get with Professor Paul Davies, ABC Science Online from Arizona State, Origins Project, Paul Davies. The universe can't have existed forever. We know there must have been an absolute beginning a finite time ago. That's pretty powerful language right here. He's saying this for like absolute certainty. Can't, and we know. Not we speculate, we know. Now, he didn't say why. He says why in other places, but he didn't say why here. What do you suppose the reason why is? Let's try the late Stephen Hawking. Let's see if he knew why. From the beginning of time, this argument about whether or not the universe had a beginning persisted into the 19th and 20th centuries. It was conducted mainly on the basis of theology and philosophy, with little consideration of observational evidence. This may have been reasonable given the notoriously unreliable character of cosmological observations until fairly recently. The cosmologist Sir Arthur Eddington once said, "Don't worry if your theory doesn't agree with observations because they're probably wrong. But if your theory disagrees with the second law of thermodynamics, it is in bad trouble. In fact, the theory that the universe has existed forever is in serious difficulty, read impossible, with the second law of thermodynamics. The second law states that disorder always increases with time. Like the argument about human progress, it indicates that there must have been a beginning. Get it? Duh. Actually, Sir Arthur Eddington said this: if your theory is found to be against the second law of thermodynamics, I can give you no hope. There is nothing for your theory but to collapse in the deepest humiliation. That's what he actually said. Therefore, Davy, everyone must be a creationist. How you like that? Isn't that special? You like how I did that? Just walked you right through it? Because you're exposed now as a... effectively, I could stop right here. Because you're exposed. You can't recover. I'm not, though. Number 2, pathetically clumsy and mindlessly parroted straw man fallacy order. This is where I'm going to drive the stake in. Hey, McFly. Order and disorder describe entropy was scuttled over 50 years ago. I put 20 in here. I was mistaken. I meant 50 frigging years ago. I'm going to show you that when we get to it. So, from the entropy site .oxy.edu, this view was broached partially in a previous article that showed disorder was outmoded and misleading as a descriptor for entropy. You used it 4 times. Second law of thermodynamics, entropy laws. Order, ordered, order, 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 right? You're finished. Again, I could stop right here. Like I said, essentially, Davey, this alone demonstrates beyond any shadow of a doubt that you're pretty much clueless regarding the second law of thermodynamics. But since it's you, I'm going to get medieval on your dumbass. FYI, the belly laughing irony? The appeal to order and disorder as a descriptor for entropy was scuttled because of numpties proffering cases like water freezing, ice cubes, snowflakes, order, ice cube. Friggin' bozo. So, Professor Bum-Sniffin' Retard, creationists say that order cannot be spontaneously created, eh? Well, I'm a creationist. I have never, ever said that or implied it, and have taught extensively on this topic, especially stressing strong warning to keep a weathered eye out for pretender clown Dunning-Kruger bum sniffers such as yourself, Davey, who mindlessly parrot their alma mater wiki, Discovery Channel, and Talk Origins. Trainwreck takes on the spontaneous order issue. 3A. Davey also tries to woo his retard audience by dropping enthalpy in name only, right? Booga booga booga. Boy, that's a sciencey sounding type of word. That'll surely get him on your side, huh, Dave? Friggin' bozo. To grease the skids for his ordered ice cube fiasco, like he said right here, because spontaneity is not just entropy, it's also enthalpy, right? Yeah, duh. It's called Gibbs free energy change, or delta G. But, clown show, it's surely not going to help you. And as a matter of fact, it's going to jettison you and your Elmer Fudd crackerjack box science acumen into the Mr. Magoo oblivion. So thank you. Thank you for bringing it up. Professor Bum-Sniffin' Retard uses the phase transition, this is a belly laugher, wait till you see this, folks, at low temperatures, ice cubes, as his proof of order arising spontaneously. So let's go back to Chem Libre text. Might as well. Water freezing. Let us now consider a different phase change, such as water freezing. When water freezes, the molecules in the liquid start to aggregate and form hydrogen bonding interactions with each other. And energy is released to the surroundings. Remember, it is this energy that is responsible for increasing the entropy of the surroundings. Very important here. Therefore, the change in enthalpy is negative. Freezing is an exothermic process. That is, delta fusion or delta H fusion is -6 kilojoules per mole. Freezing is also a process that reduces the system's entropy. When water molecules are constrained, as in ice, their positional entropy is reduced. The water freezing is a process that is favored by the change in enthalpy and disfavored by the change in entropy. As the temperature falls, the entropy term contributes less to delta G, and eventually at the crossover point, delta G fusion goes to zero and then becomes what? Negative. This process is thermodynamically favored. Why? Well, because we went over above. Delta G becomes negative. What is delta G negative? Well, that's spontaneous. He didn't tell us anything here. This has nothing to do with anything. It has nothing to do with anything whatsoever. He just told us a self-evident thing, like we breathe air. Yeah. Good job. What's that proof of? We breathe in air. Yeah. Stupid. This process, like I said, is thermodynamically favored as spontaneous. Why? Because I said, remember, delta G positive is non-spontaneous, delta G negative is spontaneous, right? Well, this is delta G negative.
John, can you break that down a little in dumbed down language, maybe, for me? Because I'm Dutch.
Could I maybe have a bang on that? Because
I'm not done with this, but go ahead, Adam.
Just to see, he's talking as if ordering is the way of describing entropy, first and foremost. And he's then using the analogy that a crystalline lattice is formed, which is obviously has order. But that is all a consequence of entropy. Order isn't formed mystically, as he's providing there. The order that comes out of the crystalline lattice is solely because of the trying to seek the lowest energy state or lowest entropy state that the molecules can find, and that is directed by the alignment of the hydrogen bonds. So that's why the crystalline lattice appears to give an order, as he says, and that's a order appearing out of nothing. It isn't. It's the molecules seeking the lowest, the best, highest entropy state they can achieve, get to the most entropy, and that's to lay in that least energetic way next to another molecule. The order he describes comes out as a consequence of entropy.
Maybe this will help. You see, when liquid water is more spread out. When you get ice, when the temperature drops, their position, like it says right here, their positional entropy is reduced. See, that's a problem for spontaneity because we always know that entropy increases. But in this case, the positional entropy of the water molecules is reduced. However, we're only looking half the story. You see this red line up here I got underlined? See, energy is released to the surroundings when this positional entropy is happening. And this is the energy that's responsible for increasing the entropy of the surroundings. So the entropy of the surroundings increases much, much more than this reduction in positional entropy. Does that help of the water molecules?
I couldn't repeat it in my own language, so that might not.
Right.
That might be a problem for me, but I get a sort of a gist of it.
Okay.
To be honest.
Okay. But like I said, it all.
So the surrounding any water that has a sort of a relationship with each other, right? Because the energy is released when you cool something else down, and it release that energy which in the water to the surrounding.
Exactly,
basically.
you got it.
Okay.
And then the surroundings get more, I don't want to say disordered, but their entropy increases. The surroundings do. And that is more than enough to make up or counterbalance the positional entropy of the water molecules being reduced.
Yeah, so the energy is not used up, but it is just transferred.
Exactly. Yes, it is. But the important part is the surrounding entropy is increased. It shifts the balance of the equation. In other words.
I understand. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Is it better that way? That's why I read through this, and that's why I underlined this statement, just in case anyone had any questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Got it?
Yeah, and what Adam says
John,
is oh,
it is. It's a funny one. Water's a sod. It has contradictions everywhere, and that
Sure it does.
explains it.
Yep.
Yeah, very, very well. But I mean, put simply, the reason the contradiction there is that ice has a when you freeze water, unlike anything else, when it transitions from liquid to solid, in most cases, you know, other than water, everything gets smaller.
Yeah, this one expands.
And I said, talked about this hydrogen bonding, and that is a consequence of entropy reaching itself on the molecular level. But in terms of, in this sense, the entropy still applies. It's still occurring in the thermodynamic level as it's released out. It's kicked out because of the molecular
because remember,
realignment.
Now remember, that's why I went over this in the beginning. Remember I stated this? Remember, the change in entropy of the universe equals the change of entropy of the system plus the change in entropy of the surroundings. Don't see, I didn't just go over that equation just for shits and giggles. So when you get into this, now you start to see it a little bit better. How about that? A little bit better? Without going too deep?
yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now where was I? Too funny, man. I'll find.
Sorry that I sidetracked you.
Okay, now this, like I said, disorder and order, it's over for him because even these are legitimate sites. He's using order. They're saying it doesn't have anything to do with that. He's finished. Done. He can't recover. Oh, I know what I was on. Go ahead.
Just that you mentioned it at the start, and it is a very outdated way of considering entropy because of exactly issues like water. It was decided that, you know, it was no longer a correct way of describing entropy like that. So that was luckily you'd sent me a copy of this beforehand, but I was balking when I read the first bit. You know what I mean? The amount of use of the word order, because it is, you're going to state this. You shouldn't be using that phrase to describe it.
Yeah.
I know I sound a bit of an old man there, but
no, but you're right. I'm going to show you that it was identified in 1972. We're gonna get there, but just off the cuff right here, just on the surface, ChemLibra and EntropySite.oxy just destroyed you. Yeah, anyone, if you talk to any like actual chemist and bring up order or disorder, they're gonna look at you cross-eyed. I'm gonna tell you that now. So Davey, he's a pretender clown. Make no mistake. He's just parroting talk origins and wiki. That's all he's doing. And then dropping enthalpy in there. Like I said. And then the phase transition of water, we already went through this. In conclusion, Davey's science acumen is woefully juvenile, hovering around second grade clown level. And his basic reasoning skills are even worse. However, don't you sell this bum sniffer short. There's a Mr. Magoo method to Professor Retard's madness here. He's again feebly attempting to grease the skids with a little ice cube order fiasco to clumsily false equivalence fallacy to abiogenesis that you'll see here in a few minutes. This sort of motif, folks. This is what he's going for. He's just greasing the skids up. This is the mission. If we can get order from disorder, little ice cube fiasco, spontaneously, then we can get DNA, RNA, and functional proteins, order, spontaneously, from their respective substrates, disorder, without concerning ourselves with that pesky second law of thermodynamics. Huh, Davey? I caught you. I got you by the balls. I'm going to crush them. Allow me to send the first shot across Davey's bow. This, by itself, it's a kill shot. And this is what I was talking about from 1972 with this ordering nonsense. This is from Ilya Prigogine, right? He is a god, little g, of the second law of thermodynamics. I put him right up there, and most people do, with the founders of the second law of thermodynamics. Clausius, Theodori, Carnot, Lord Kelvin. He's right up there, folks. Nobel Prize winner right here, Ilya Prigogine in 1972. Listen closely to what he says. The point is that in a non-isolated open system, there exists a possibility for the formation of ordered, low-entropy structures at sufficiently low temperatures. This ordering principle is responsible for the appearance of ordered structures, such as crystals, as well as for the phenomena of phase transitions, your little snowflakes and ice cubes. Here comes the punchline. Unfortunately for you, Davy, this principle cannot explain the formation of biological structures. Kaboom! Duh. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs, bum sniffer Davy. You're in trouble. Yeah, why is that? Why can't the entropic process of ice cubes explain the formation of... I can't even say it. Why can't the entropic process of ice cubes explain the formation of biological structures? I'm sorry, folks. Number one, well, water freezing is delta G negative, that is spontaneous, that we just want over above, whilst forming DNA, RNA, and functional proteins is delta G positive, non-spontaneous. That's probably the elephant in the room, chemically speaking. You see the difference here? This is kind of a big difference. My word. And you don't believe me about DNA being delta G positive? Let's take a look. Thermodynamic cycle between DNA and RNA constituents from nuclear magnetic resonance study from NCBI, Journal of Biomolecular Structural Dynamics. Let's take a listen. The system consists of pairs of DNA and RNA components, nucleosides and nucleotides in aqueous solutions, where all conformational factors are fully controlled. Remember I stated something like this in a previous presentation where I said everything is sequestered, right? All conformational factors are controlled. Yeah, they had to control them because nothing's going to happen if you get friggin' right-handed and left-handed pentose sugars in there. What ribose is. Remember I talked, we're going to touch on that here beneath. I digress. Sorry about that. This approach allowed us to describe the thermodynamic cycle and measure its fundamental parameters, equilibrium constants and free energy differences, the change in delta G from a nuclear magnetic resonance study, the change in delta G values as determined for pairs of ribo and deoxyribonucleosides in classes of sin-constrained and anti-preferred models are comparable and lie in a narrow range from a change in delta G to what? 1.7. Turn out the lights. Party's over. Folks, everyone knows this. I mean, I'm sorry. Every biochemist and chemistry teacher, anyone who has a degree in chemistry, knows this. Maybe not chemistry if they don't deal with DNA and RNA. But biochemistry, pharmacists, they know this as a well-duh. This is killer all by itself. Again, I can stop right here. It's over. We won't. Furthermore, Numpty Dave doesn't know that there are 3 levels of complexity, right? We have random sequence complexity, ordered sequence complexity, which he was appealing to, and then we have functional sequence specified complexity. Examples, random is just like how it sounds, aftermath of a tornado. Ordered, crystals, snowflakes, his little ice cubes, sand dunes, fractals. As opposed to functional sequence specified complexity. It puts the lotion in the basket. Sand castles, the genetic code. Barbecue grills, Indy cars, hyper nanotech machines and robots. All these are proteins or protein-related complexes. Kinesin, ATP synthase, flagellum, cilia. So RSC and OSC is a nature construct, whereas functional sequence specified complexity is intelligent design construct. They're all uphill. These are all uphill. You ain't going to make these reactions occur on their own. You're not going to walk out in the woods and see a friggin' barbecue grill. In other words, the actual argument in place of Davy Bumsniffer's aforementioned erroneous pathetic straw man fallacy order, ice cubes. The creationist, claim that you can't form functional sequence specified complexity naturally or spontaneously. Why? Well, those reactions that are delta G positive, those reactions that are non-spontaneous. There's no problem with spontaneous reactions. Yeah, when it gets cold, ice forms. Enthalpy. Friggin' bozo. This is just a simple delta G negative spontaneous reaction. Like I said, he ain't telling us anything. Let me stop right there. Go ahead, Adam. I know you have something to say.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully people get it. It's beautifully. The way in which I'm seeing that Dave's trying to link this is very dubiously, and I think fundamentally is that there are two types of reaction that's going off there. Yeah, and he's alluding to a very different type as his support for the complexity that goes off when putting these things together. Even water is, as you described, is a spontaneous one. But the way I kind of see it, put simply, is these molecules can't occur. You can't react these things together. You can't stick them in a jar and shake them up together. These is the simplest, like GCSE way of thinking it. You can't put them together, no matter how much you heat it or anything. It will not glue together like that, because the way in which it's glued together isn't energetically favorable for them to come together. They can't come together like that. It requires things to put them together, which is why you've got that different value there. But for me, it's more fundamental than that. It's not just an energy thing. It's a construction thing. It requires life to have this impact. And if you're suggesting that this is how life started, then it's a complete circular loop. You cannot have it. It's, again, another point of creation. Even if you wish really, really, really hard and you've got a big vat of primordial soup that's struck by a lightning bolt, that shit still does not happen.
Oh, yeah, we're going to go over that. That's the next section.
All right.
So Frankenstein is out of the loop then?
Yeah. What?
Aw.
Now, Betty.
Hmm.
This
Yeah.
is it. Now, I don't mean this derogatorily speaking. I don't mean to be derogatory. I mean, you're a layman, right?
Yeah.
What happens when lightning strikes something?
It burns stuff. It's fresh.
It's sort of kind of with the burn, it's sort of like a explosion. Yeah.
It's no good, Betty.
I think that people think that the energy in the lightning bolt is so much concentrated that it could start life.
Oh, I'll
It's
tell you, I got
sparking.
something for you with Gibbs
Hmm.
Free Energy here in a couple minutes. I love you. Thank you for that.
May I ask something else? You got this guy off one of these other channels, I think. But what was his point by saying all this? But I mean,
I told you what his point was. He is greasing the skids for abiogenesis. A plausible explanation for abiogenesis.
okay. I thought it was flat Earth related, but it isn't. Okay. Good.
Well, it's flat Earth. It is indirectly.
Indirectly. Okay.
Yeah, because all this is connected. All of it. The fairy tale, heliocentric, spinning, ball-tard space monkey religion, evolution, evolution of the universe. All this is connected. That's why he was on LK with the rumpus and all those bozos.
Okay. That makes more sense then. Yeah. Thanks.
Adam, anything else before? Because you know what we're going to get dead into.
I think yeah, I'm jumping the gun, and that's because you've laid the fundamentals there so well. That's why I did, because I mean that is the conclusion. So I'll leave you to it.
All right, sir. Yeah, this is so. Remember when I said I was going to crush your feeble, shriveled up pretender clown balls? Davey, you remember that? That time's now. Here's the crazy train he was feebly greasing the skids for 10 minutes earlier with his ordered ice cubes, okay? I'll play this twice for you, just in case you don't get it the first time. Put it up here. Here we go.
Oh no, I just, my only contribution is wherever possible, I like to try my best to explain to lay people the mechanisms by which abiogenesis absolutely could have happened. We don't know what happened, but a lot of people try to present the idea that it is impossible. It's definitely not impossible. It just, to understand how it could have happened requires reasonable amount of knowledge in organic chemistry and biochemistry and biology. So I try to teach that whenever possible. But certainly we don't know precisely what happened, of course. But I just like to show, here are some things that may have happened. And it's not as outlandish as people suggest, right?
No, it's not outlandish. It's friggin' absurd, ludicrousness, preposterousness of something so unimaginable. You're right. It's not outlandish. Let's listen to this bozo again one more time.
Oh no, I just, my only contribution is wherever possible, I like to try my best to explain to lay people the mechanisms by which abiogenesis absolutely could have happened. We don't know what happened, but a lot of people try to present the idea that it is impossible. It's definitely not impossible. It just, to understand how it could have happened requires reasonable amount of knowledge in organic chemistry and biochemistry and biology. So I try to teach that whenever possible. But certainly we don't know precisely what happened, of course. But I just like to show, here are some things that may have happened. And it's not as outlandish as people suggest, right?
So you hear his little condescending spill, right? About it. I told you that's where he was going to go. That's all his friggin' ice cubes order was headed directly here. He was just laying the framework for this travesty train wreck. Reasonable amount of knowledge in organic chemistry and biochemistry. Yeah, something you don't have. That's for damn sure. Yeah. So I try to teach. Hey, Davey, you couldn't teach the bionic woman hearing, dragging her through a nitroglycerin plant in a friggin' dump truck. You ass clown. I'm your Huckleberry, son. This is just my game. You fell right into it. You see, this bum-sniffing bozo puts on airs like he knows what he's talking about by dropping the term enthalpy, lay people, pontificating order with entropy, train wreck, putting professor in front of his name, and running a pretender clown channel that has freshman biochemistry majors expiring due to tear-jerking belly laugher syndrome. Typical ball-tard behavior. He gets away with it, huh? Why? Well, his subscribers are dumber than he is. Son, if you have more than 2 subscribers, you and your mama, by morning, then my claim right here is 100% true. I'll try and teach you friggin'. So, abiogenesis, or what some people say, abiogenesis.
Hey,
What?
wait a minute. Just say hi to Nathan. He's in the chat now too. Yeah.
You want me to say hi?
Yeah, say hi.
Hi, Nathan.
Bye.
Oh, hey, Nathan, what's going on, brother? All right, so right in the middle of the
I thought you
presentation.
wanted to say hi in chat there. I thought that was a bit wet. But hi, Nathan. You're right, mate.
Thanks for coming, man.
That's okay. You feel free to continue.
Thank you, sir. So, like I said, I say abiogenesis. I've always said that ever since from the beginning, way back in the day. I think it rolls better than biogenesis. Yeah. Get that squared away. So abiogenesis, which is life from non-life naturally. That's what abiogenesis is. Life from non-life. Don't forget this last part. Naturally. Because it goes against the law of biogenesis, right? What's the law of biogenesis? Life can't come from non-life. So A is the opposite. Life from non-life naturally. You see how that flows? Freaking clowns don't even know that. Okay. So, it can happen only one of two ways. That is metabolist, that is functional proteins first, or two, genetics or DNA or RNA first. The only two ways, folks. Let's listen to Professor Dr. Leslie Orgel. This guy is the grand poobah of origin of life research. He worked with Francis and Crick, Miller, Urey. He's a legend. He is origin of life research. After more than 50 years of origin of life research, this is his last published words, literally, before he passed. However, this is from PLOS Biology. However, solutions offered by supporters of geneticist or metabolist scenarios that are dependent on if pigs could fly, hypothetical chemistry are unlikely to help. Yeah, pigs could fly. He focuses on the cross-enantiomeric inhibition problem. No problem with that. We're going to get to that. However, the elephant or the pig in the room is the second law of thermodynamics. This is what he's talking about, right? If pigs could fly. Because like we already told you, DNA, RNA, and protein synthesis is uphill. That means it's unfavorable thermodynamically. That means it ain't going to happen. So he needs this. That's what Professor Davy needs. Right? That's what all these baltards need. That's who they are. Oh, by the way, I forgot. All this is academic anyways, because you're not going to have any chemicals that is matter if there is no matter, right? See quantum mechanics. Without a knower, this is academic. It's a waste of my time. But I digress. This is too much fun. We're back into my wheelhouse. So let's go with the metabolist scenario first. Functional proteins first. Of the approximate 500 amino acids known, 23 of them are the alpha amino acids. All life requires and exclusively uses the 20 essential alphas. Now, to be technical, there's 9 essential and the other 11 are conditionally essential. We don't have to worry about that. Number 1, please make sure you cite source of the natural formation of all 20 essential alphas from their building blocks. You see, folks, this is one of their dirty little secrets you never hear about. It's really quite mind-numbing. But they know they can whistle past the graveyard because of utter ignorance and blind faith of their bum-sniffing target audience. They can get away with this. And again, we couldn't in fact stop right here, but where's the fun in that? You see, once you get all the essential alphas, naturally, and you'll never do that, amino acids exist naturally as stereoisomers, enantiomers, 50-50 mix, racemic mixture, mirror imagers, chiral, left-handed and right-handed, baby. But life exclusively uses left-handed aminos. There are exceptions, but not material and outside the scope of our discussion. To be functional proteins, you not only need their primary structure, which he probably doesn't even know. I'll bet you he doesn't know the 4 levels of protein structure. I'll freaking guarantee it. If I asked him right now without him looking it up, I bet you he wouldn't know. I digress. To be functional proteins, you not only need their primary structure, proper sequence, but form secondary structure. Form equal function. One right-handed amino acid in the chain compromises the secondary structure. That means you have a football bat. Because functional proteins function. They are the workhorses of the cell. They need to function. A football bat's not going to work. It's going to sit there dead like a football bat. I touched on this previously. In every single origin of life research paper, amino acids, proteins, and sugars, and we're going to get to that, take a look at the materials and methods section. This is where the gold is in any research study, right? Just go over the abstract, just skim through it, but then head right to the material and methods, because that's where they're going to give away their dirty little secrets, and nobody reads it because they don't know what they're reading. Go to the materials and methods section. Their other dirty little secret. You'll find every single time the word purification or equivalent, or they just friggin' come out and start with the oligomers. They just come out and start with it. Right? We're saying, where'd you get the carnival tent? They start with the carnival tent. Yeah, duh. The former, they sequestered if proteins, left-handed amino acids are chosen, if sugars, right-handed ones are chosen, before they even start on their a priori fairy tale. But how can they do that? Their position is of a natural philosophy. You can't have somebody making choices. For goodness sakes. What do you think, we're stupid? This is so far beyond unacceptable investigator interference and proves the need for intelligent agency. So you got a whole bunch of scientists, I use that term loosely, trying to figure out a way to prove that life doesn't come about from intelligence by using intelligence. Priceless. Number 3, and we went over this before, but this becomes important again. The delta G for polymerizations of amino acids to form polypeptides is positive. That is proteins. It's positive. It's non-spontaneous. From Texas A&M University, if a reaction is unfavorable for both enthalpy, this is where the lightning comes in, even though it's preposterous. This was the part that I was waiting for. Betty, Adam. If a reaction is unfavorable for both enthalpy and entropy changes, here it comes, then the reaction will be non-spontaneous at any temperature. It doesn't matter. In fact, the more energy you put in it, the worse it gets for you and your naturalistic bollocks. The change in enthalpy is positive. It's endothermic. That means it's unfavorable for spontaneity. Whereas the change in entropy is negative. That is unfavorable for spontaneity. Protein synthesis and DNA and RNA synthesis, we're going to get to that here in a second, are all endothermic. That is, enthalpy is greater than 0 and entropy is less than 0. That is, all these reactions, proteins from amino acids, DNA and RNA from nucleosides and nucleotides are uphill, which equals a violation right in the face of the second law of thermodynamics. Kablooey. There's more. Peptide bond formation is condensation reactions. That is, peptide bonds won't form in water from both a thermodynamic and kinetic point of view. Peptide bonds won't form between two zwitterions. This is the form amino acids are found in aqueous environments. This is that zwitterions are hermaphrodites, by the way. You'd have better chances resurrecting Alexander the Great's horse than attempting even a cogent just so story. Even a cogent just so story, even one that you make up, right? Of how this could be in the galactic universe of possibility, let alone actually physically and chemically forming a 30-mer functional protein naturally. Even your just so story is preposterous. And again, this is even before we discuss primary structure, sunlight, which destroys amino acids and nucleobases, mono and bifunctional moieties, pH, cross reactions, Brownian motion, hydrolysis, and oxidation. Even before we start discussing these, you're through. I suppose this is what the grand poobah of the origin of life research, Dr. Leslie Orgel, was referring to above when he said in his last documented words before passing, if pigs could fly, hypothetical chemistry. This is what he was talking about, folks. What I just outlined above. I love this one. This is, I'm going to go old school on you. Professor Wilder Smith, PhD, Organic Chemistry and Pharmacology. The natural sciences know nothing of evolution. Listen to this. If excess water is present in the reacting mixture, peptide synthesis, that's protein synthesis, does not take place. equilibrium remains on the side of the initial reagents, the amino acids, which are the building blocks of life. This phenomena is covered by the law of mass action. It is valid for all reversible reactions. Briefly said, in reactions of this type, synthesis of polypeptides from amino acids does not take place in the presence of excess water. The consequence of this well-known fact of organic chemistry is important. Concentrations of amino acids will combine only in minute amounts, if they combine at all, in a primeval ocean, providing excess water to form polypeptides. That's proteins. Any amounts of polypeptides which might be formed will be broken down, hydrolysis, my addition, into their initial components, amino acids, by the excess water. Duh! The ocean is thus practically the last place on this or any other planet, he is a baller, where the proteins of life could be formed spontaneously from amino acids. Yet, nearly all textbooks of biology teach this. Yeah, biology, not biochemistry. Yet nearly all textbooks of biology teach this nonsense to support evolutionary theory and spontaneous biogenics. It requires a very great unfamiliarity, a purposeful, very great unfamiliarity with organic chemistry not to take into consideration the above-mentioned facts when proposing postulates for biogenesis. Turn out the lights, party's over. Everyone knows this. Listen, this is, I'm just telling you well da stuff here. I'm serious. This is well da to a freshman biochemist. Well da. Before we go to DNA, let me stop. Let me stop at proteins. Questions, comments?
Did I hear you correctly? Did you say that essentially if there's water present, it can't happen?
Yes.
So they start out by saying this can't happen in water. I love it.
Yeah, that's why they make proteins. They call it dry phase synthesis. Why? Because every time you form a peptide bond, it releases water. If you're overloaded with water surrounding you, it's going to be pretty tough to release that water into more water. Right? It's going to drive the reaction the other way. Yeah. I'm not telling you. Listen, you got a PhD in organic chemistry and pharmacology right here, right up Adam's lane. I don't need to tell you. He just told you, right? You don't need to believe me. Not QE. I don't know. Right? That's why I put these citations in here. You think I'm just making this shit up? I beg to differ.
A lot there, John, to respond to. First is I'll take up the challenge.
I knew you
protein
would.
Levels. Primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. Not that hard to answer.
Oh, you little sucker. You gave the game away. Don't you do that again.
I know. But what I would urge people to do is look that up and look at what we imagine is primary being put together. When you then start to look at the complexities you get into secondary, tertiary, and then quaternary, it's immense. For even if these things could fit together, for them to mean anything, outside of the fact that you need a Noah for them to mean anything, but for them to, the probably is an answer. So I just type it in Google, have a little look. It's not like that. We'll just show you the different complexities of what we're talking about and how these things come together to form, then actually act in life.
That have to type in. Hey, Adam, you got to tell them what they're typing in first. Just type in levels of protein structure. Sorry to interrupt.
4 levels of protein structure, and then just go to images. That's all I've just quickly just done now. There's some nice bits. It just shows. It kind of exemplifies. You can almost start to, in your mind, excuse sticking a few bits of those balls together in the basic amino acid chains. But when you're starting to get to this and realizing the complexity and the hidden encoding in it, it just becomes farcical. Now, that sits outside of the fundamentals of what's been discussed, which is the physical chemistry discussions that John's gone through there, which I hope makes a lot of sense. This is not possible. This is not something that can happen ever, i.e. lightning into a pool of water does not order proteins into RNA or DNA or anything. It doesn't even stick them like those amino acids, as the last citation goes. It's just unfavorable for these things to happen in the presence of so much water. That's not to say a bit of water is not needed, because it is. But actually, if you get to the levels of dilution where we're talking about a spinning space ball, which is 2/3 water, then that level of dilution just, as the citation says, kind of precludes even the possibility of these reactions occurring.
Yeah, it's a belly laugher. It goes against the second law. I just said if they're unfavorable for both enthalpy and entropy, it's over. You increase the temperature, you're increasing the positiveness of delta G. It's over.
That's the fundamental. If you've got the basics, is to try and comprehend that this reaction isn't about sticking more heat in. It's not whether it's an endothermic or exothermic. It's the concentrate. It's the effect of its entropy. To go against the natural effects is only one thing that, for me, a natural law that can do that, and that's life. Life's the only thing that goes against entropy. It's the only thing that can counteract it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, Adam, it does. But there are reasons why it can thwart the second law of thermodynamics. There's two reasons. You need
thwart's better.
Need the right amount of energy, right? And the proper energy, number one. And number two, you already need the information program existing to direct that energy. Or else it's like you said, it's a bull in a china shop, right? So that information program, DNA, and the proteins already have to exist first. That's the key. But it can only thwart the second law for so long, because guess what? Sooner or later, guess what's going to happen? We're going to vapor lock. Surprise.
This is kind of me speaking, not kind of how I imagine this stuff, John. But for me, when we're talking about the reason it's positive, isn't, I say, an enthalpy change. The reason it's positive is it requires a system physically to kind of construct this against the natural spontaneous reactions that would occur from a kind of natural interaction of the standard chemical way. So, for example, with the way the water reacts, that's not logical, sensible. That it's proposed its order. It isn't. It's a consequence of the reactions at the atomic level, the atomic interactions. Now, to counteract that requires intelligent programming and a machine that can build these molecules and put them together in a way that requires the input of energy to hold them in place until it's locked in a certain sequence that it becomes then stable. Majesty of life, because it goes against chemistry.
Yeah, well, and you need those systems. Most of those systems are functional protein nucleotide complements, right? You already need them. You already need, but how did you get them in the first place? Right? It's like a cat chasing its tail. It's a train wreck. Right? Go ahead.
You can't put them together without life.
Exactly. Exactly. You got it. Yeah.
Well, hold on. Obviously, this is pretty much above my pay grade. I'm not embarrassed to admit it, but am I correct in saying that the ground zero isn't life, as Adam just phrased it, but the information itself?
But we're talking about two different things for right now. We're just talking about the physical chemical part. I'm going to touch on information here in a little. Yeah, that's a separate subject, but yeah, it's academic. We could have stopped with that, but where's the fun in that?
Or
Okay.
if you that's spot on, Nathan, as well. If you go more fundamental and actually, again, you've already destroyed the random probability theory with it. When you go in and then start to look at how these molecules fit together, fold together, as you get into secondary and tertiary, and then when you get into quaternary, you get complex other molecules, how they then interfere. Yeah, that's exactly where you're talking. Well, the only way that would be possible is if it's already pre-programmed to do so. That there's a level of programming there for that to happen, because from a probability, it can't happen. There are intermediaries that are impossible, that are required. So,
Can I ask another question from ignorance, or is it not?
No, go ahead.
So the other thing you said was that would what the second law of thermodynamics? What
Yes.
do you mean by that?
What did
do
that
you
mean?
Second law of thermodynamics.
Oh, the process, because those reactions, those biological reactions, like I said, you need enzymes. This is going to get too deep to lower the activation energy. All this does revolve around Gibbs free energy. However, this is a little different. Gibbs free energy, like I said if you were here at the beginning of the presentation, I don't think it would have helped anyway. We talked about the standard state Gibbs free energy, but that's what chemists use. Biochemists don't use that because the standard state conditions don't exist in biological systems. The biggest one is the pH level. Adam can speak to that. Because enzymes don't work at a pH of freaking 0. But anyway, what happens is enzymes, that is functional proteins, help lower the activation energy for chemical reactions to go in the forward direction, right? So if you don't have those proteins, those enzymes, then you don't have the lowering of the activation energy. But to get those enzymes, the proteins in the first place, they would already have had to been there in the first place because you can't get them naturally.
So it's the lowering of that energy that is akin to thwarting the second law of thermodynamics, but ultimately you'd need the protein in the first place with the information and sequencing to be able to do that.
Exactly.
To have that process start. So in other words, you've got a point before it which can justify it. So therefore it's not actually violating.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I used some poor phrase. Was that poorly phrased, Adam, when I said that?
well, that's why I liked when you said thwarting, because he's not stopping; it's just thwarting it for a little bit. See what I mean? You're not stopping entropy in any way, or you're not precluded. You're just kind of altering it in terms of the standard chemical ways, the standard chemistry ways of viewing it. I suppose it's a sidearm, if you know what I mean, when you go into biochemistry. So, but from a standard physics point of view, life messes with that, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? It is a contradiction.
Yeah, because
is it akin to the? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, is it akin to the analogy you gave me when you put a jigsaw together?
Yeah, it's a generalized analogy, I suppose. It's a little general for the stuff that we're going over now, but yeah, I guess it could work.
Can you paraphrase it for the audience and for other thickos like
me? They're not thick. It may be too general because we're into actual enthalpy and entropy in the chemical reactions. There's no chemical reactions going on when you trip over, a brick and drop or trip over your rug and drop the jigsaw puzzle all over the floor. But under no circumstances, when you drop that jigsaw puzzle all over the floor, I don't care how much time you wait, that jigsaw puzzle isn't going back in the box, and it definitely isn't becoming the puzzle. It's going to rot away well before that, and it ain't going to happen anyway. It's hysterical lunacy. Does that help?
Sure, but I can come along in this ham-handed example as a happy enzyme, and I can put it back together, right?
Why can you do that?
Because I've got intelligence.
And you got the right amount of energy Right? What did I say before? You see, for life to exist, you not only need the right amount of energy and the right energy, you need the information program. It's like bringing your groceries into the kitchen, right? You need the right amount of energy and the information program so you don't stuff the eggs in the cupboard or the ice cream in the cupboard and smash the strawberries. Follow?
Can I add to that analogy a little bit in terms of the jigsaw? So,
Sure.
From a chemistry point of view, the way in which those molecules, those jigsaw pieces, if they were lucky enough to bump into each other at some point after you've dropped them, from a chemistry point of view, they'd snap back together again. From a biochemistry point of view, that snapping back together isn't even necessarily the order in which we want them to snap back together. It requires intelligence and life to put them back in the order that has meaning. So whether that's you as the jigsaw builder or the cell as the protein builder, it requires a knower to put these things together.
Anything else on it? Does that describe it well for you, Nathan?
Yeah, perfect. I came in when you were talking about delta G, but yeah, you're right. I did the first start of the presentation, but you have given me in vague strokes before.
Delta G, the disco band from the 70s. and I'll tell you what, I was just showing off earlier when I busted out Delta G Aught Prime. I know a smile came across Adam's face. Am I wrong?
No, I like you say, it's foundational, this stuff, and accepted. So certainly, if you've got a chemistry degree, you don't question it. You're happy with it. It's only when you then start to apply it to biochemistry that the implications. Like I say, it was my chemistry knowledge and that pharmaceutical knowledge that not having been brought up in a kind of standard Christian household.
Lost you there, Adam. Did somebody snipe him when he started talking about Christians?
No, there's no sniping in my server.
Maybe he's been raptured.
Ha! Hey! No! What are you laughing for?
Well, I'm still here.
You're still here too.
I must not be doing something right.
Adam, are you back with us, sir?
Maybe you should pop back in and out and in.
Hopefully you can hear us. Maybe you could send him a message, maybe pop back. We'll get back to him. We'll just continue on with the presentation if no one minds it. If you don't have any more questions, Nathan.
No, definitely not. I'm good.
It's not that long. We're going to go over, because we just pummeled proteins, we're going to go over functional RNA and DNA construction naturally. Back to Leslie Orgel. If he's the Grand Poobah, Orgel, then Joyce is the Grand Poobahs. Together, right? So this is Gerald F. Joyce and Dr. Leslie Orgel. Prospects for understanding the origin of this RNA world is a belly laugher. I'm going to get into it right now. So this is what they wrote. Scientists interested in the origins of life seem to divide neatly into two classes. The first, but not always, molecular biologists believe that RNA must have been the first replicating molecule, that chemists are exaggerating the difficulties of nucleotide synthesis. They believe that a few more striking chemical surprises will establish that a reasonable approximation to a racemic version of the molecular biologist pool could have formed on the primitive Earth, and that further experiments with different activating groups, we're going to go over that here in a few minutes, and minerals, their clay nonsense, will solve the enantiomeric cross-inhibition problem that I spoke about above. The second group of scientists are much more pessimistic. They believe that the de novo appearance of oligonucleotides on the primitive Earth would have been near a miracle. The authors subscribe to this view. That is, Orgel and Joyce subscribe to the miracle view. Because they're not stupid. They know exactly the score in this game. This right here, as bad as it is for pretended clown bum sniffers, isn't the elephant in the room, physiochemically speaking. This is, and we already went over it with proteins. And it applies directly to RNA and DNA. The delta G for nucleosides, just nucleosides wickering themselves together from bases and sugars is positive. That means non-spontaneous, as is the phosphorylation into nucleotides, along with 50 or so other crucial reactions from the building blocks. Like I said before, sunlight is a severe demonstrable antagonist to all of it as it destroys nucleobases and amino acids. That's not even speaking to, here we go again, primary structure, stereoisomerization, hydrolysis, Brownian motion, oxidation, pH, mono and bifunctional moieties, and cross reactions from here to Christmas. I'd also like to see the precursors for those bases, baby. The purines and pyrimidines, all natural, like within the constraints of 2-lot. I'd love to see that. Yes, I would. We already went over this, just to confirm that the delta G for DNA and RNA is positive. I don't have to read through that again. We got the gist. If the delta G is positive, the reactions are non-spontaneous. The problem, like I said in the presentation a few weeks ago and a few months ago, this citation right here brings a tear to my eye. Because this is old school for me. I love this thing. I really do. I pulled this out for a special occasion. Because back in the day, all these pretender clowns are running around. I would set them up. Right? I'd set them up. I'd say, really? You have DNA and RNA polymerizing naturally? Right? And, oh, yeah, somebody told them, right? Oh, yeah, that's for sure. I knew right where they were going. Because it was always, if you type RNA polymerizing naturally, this would be the first study that would pop up, right? So I knew, little wiki Google scientists, right? I knew right where they were going. And they said, look, see this? Generation of long RNA chains in water. There you go. Of course, they're just reading the headline. They don't understand what's going on in the study. Like I said before, it's like the headlines in a secular news article. Does the secular headline usually match the story? Most times not, right? It occurs exactly, even more so in the so-called scientific literature, right? So I just set them up, and I like I said, it brings a tear to my eye. Let me go over this. You'll see it real quick. So, and this is from Morrow, Generation of Long Chains in Water, the Journal of Biological Chemistry in 2009. The origin of informational polymers is not understood. The RNA polymerization process has been studied for 5 decades. The results showing that from pre-activated precursors, got a problem there, friends, polymers of several tens can be obtained, as reviewed previously. These pioneering studies provide the proof of principle that RNA precursors can self-assemble. So RNA has a self? I digress. Self-assemble yielding linear polymers. Yeah, my ass. However, the prebiotic validity of a process based on complex pre-activation procedures is limited. Yeah, read non-existent. I don't give a crap about your number 1 and number 2 here. Take those to the woodshed too. And the problem of defining a prebiotically plausible chemical and thermodynamic scenario for the synthesis and accumulation of informational polymers remains open. Here comes the punchline, folks. This is the part that I like. This is my kind of party. The core of the problem is the standard state Gibbs free energy change. Turn out the lights, baby. Stating that condensation reactions, remember we went over them above, are very inefficient in water. Yeah, I like the way you phrased that. Inefficient in water. Yeah, I guess so. Given that extant polymerizations occur in water, yeah, they do. This is a major difficulty only partially solved by the fact that these processes at present occur inside the active sites of enzymes. Like I said above, yeah, specifically the ribosome, the most functionally specific, sequentially complex biological machine ever known to man. The ribosome. 2 parts. When they come together, guess what happens? When they're making proteins, they squeeze out all the water. But I digress. The active site of enzymes where water activity may be drastically reduced. Yeah, inside the ribosome. The other part of extant evolution, or extant solution, fruit of evolution, whatever that is the use of, here we go, biologically highly pre-activated triphosphate nucleotides. Wait a second. Where'd you get nucleotides from? Right? Even to pre-activate them. Where'd you get nucleosides from? In Primordia, this is in Narnia, RNA molecules had no enzymes, yeah, duh, to catalyze their chain-wise growth, and highly activated precursors can be considered as prebiotic, only with difficulty. Read only in friggin' Narnia. Kablooey. Kablooey. I love this. I love this. I'm sorry. I'm verklempt. Number 1. Please show site source of one functional RNA 30 mer or larger that's wickered itself together outside a living cell naturally and spontaneously from ribose, nucleobases, and activated phosphates. And call Jack Shostak and ask him, Mr. Nobel Prize winner, Mr. RNA, Mr. Cell Membranes. We haven't even talked about that. If I brought cell membranes up here, it would be a train wreck of epic proportions. I should have done it. Jack. Just call Jack and ask him, if you hear a click, just keep calling. Hope you have free long distance. Number 2, here we go again. The delta G for nucleosides wickering themselves together from sugars and nucleobases is positive, as is the phosphorylation into nucleotides. You got the double whammy going on here. Sugars, that is ribose, pentose sugars, exist naturally, here we go again, as stereoisomers.
Hold on.
Yep.
I can't have it. I can't have this. Sugars. Sugars. Can't fight. That's like saying you can build a car, but assuming you've already got the tires, that you're saying, look, I've got the tires, look, but I have to start with tires. Where do you get sugars from? Well, sugars occur naturally on a lifeless ball in space.
Pentose sugars.
You have to have life to make the sugars first.
Pentose sugars, as a matter of fact. Ribo and deoxy are pentose sugars. Sorry, can I continue?
Yeah, sorry, mate. Outright, sorry.
I know you had to get in there, man. I know. I can feel it in the background, right? I know Adams, if he's back in there, he just can't hold himself back.
I got kicked halfway through a bloody rant, didn't I, already? So my internet dropped, mate. So I just missed that. And I come back to that and I just frustrated. So sorry, dude. Sorry.
No problem, man. I feel it. Like I said, sugars, ribose exist naturally as stereoisomers or enantiomers. That's a 50-50 mix of racemic mixtures, mirror imagers, or chiral. I say chiral because I like it. I like the sound of it. I say chiral, but it's chiral. Left-handed and right-handed. But life exclusively uses right-handed sugars, as opposed to left-handed amino acids. To have functional RNA, you not only need their primary structure sequence, but form secondary structure. If you don't remember, form equal function. One left-handed sugar in the chain compromises secondary structure. If you got to compromise secondary structure, you just got to bump on a log. It ain't going to do anything. It's just going to sit there, waste of time. Back to Leslie Orgel speaking to this left-handed and right-handed chirality. Excuse me. Equally disappointing, we can induce copying of the original template only when we run our experiments with nucleotides. Where'd you get them? He's starting out with nucleotides, but I digress. Having a right-handed configuration, all nucleotides synthesized biologically today are right-handed. Yet, on a primitive Earth, Narnia, equal numbers of right-handed and left-handed nucleotides would have been present. When we put equal numbers of both kinds of nucleotides in our reaction mixtures, copying was inhibited. That means it didn't happen. One left-handed sugar in DNA compromises the double helical structure formation in toto. So natural formation of DNA is a tear-jerking belly laugher with just this. In most cases, for RNA to function, it also has to form secondary structures, which are also conformational and mediated by functional proteins. That is, ribonucleoprotein complexes. The ribosomal RNA, RNA polymerase, microRNA, small nuclear RNA, small cellular RNA, and others. There's a ton of others. Number 5, and this is for Nathan, we haven't even touched on this. We were just focused on the physiochemical world. But this is a tear-jerking belly laugher. Because the elephant actually in the room is, besides not having any matter to begin with, is information. See, chemically it ain't happening. It's freaking ridiculously impossible chemically, physically. But information just, this is Narnia joke. The N-glycosidic bonds along the backbone of RNA and DNA are chemically indeterminate, folks. Any base can attach. Therefore, the meaning is coming from outside the physical chemical forces and structure of the molecules, respectively. From Paul Davies, member of the Arizona State Origins Project. How we could create life. Well, who cares on how you could create life? You munchkin, you're an intelligent agent. See, your argument is the opposite of the argument that you're arguing for here. Are you intelligent, sir? I mean, I know it's a sliding scale, but I digress. DNA is not a special life-giving molecule, but a genetic databank that transmits its information using a mathematical code. Most of the workings of the cell are best described not in terms of material stuff, that is hardware, but as information or software. Trying to make life by mixing chemicals in a test tube is like soldering switches and wires in an attempt to produce Windows 98. It won't work because it addresses the problem at the wrong conceptual level. Even as a numpty, he told you. Right? Even as an evolutionist natural philosophy friggin' numpty, he told you. Right? He does it. I don't think he even realizes what he's saying. Number 6, you have to be able to show where the information is. Best wishes. Since information is semiotic, it'd be tantamount to trying to find the social security number to color yellow. This collapses the whole fairy tale before you even start. And quantum mechanics collapses this before you even start, even though it's connected with information. Like I said, all the above is laughingly academic anyways, because where'd you get matter without knowledge of the which path information, bump sniffers? Right? Academic. This is all. We had to go through it because it's fun. In conclusion, Professor Bumsniffer Davy is a demonstrated pretender clown who couldn't pass 5th grade general science or a 60-level basic reasoning course. If you, baltards, natural philosophers, as a member of the Globetard Brain Trust are an abject moron, Davy, then the subordinate members of your rake-and-file spinning space monkey congregations have no hope. Thanks for your ear. Have a nice day.
Can we get Betty's
comments?
dirt joke? Yeah, can we get Betty's dirt joke?
What?
Yeah, I think that's wholly applicable.
Do I have to say the word stupid?
Oh, did you hear what he asked? What he requested?
No, I didn't. Sorry, I was
want-
Oh,
in the chat.
can you tell your joke about dirt? Is that
Oh, the
worth giving a
dirt.
hint?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, there's a joke going around with scientists and God, and the scientists go to God and say, "Hey, we don't need you anymore. We can do this ourselves now." And God says, "Okay, well, if you're up for the challenge, then let's give it a try. We both make man, and I let you start." And so these scientists go about and they go to the ground and pick up the dirt and try to mold a human. And before they can do that, God says, "Hey, what's up with that? Get your own dirt." And that says it all, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
sir.
where'd you get the materials from in the first place?
Yep.
Everybody knows. Simple joke can tell you, many things. So, yeah, John, you could have done that joke and be done with it.
Yeah, I could have done that. Yeah, but we wouldn't have had a presentation.
That's true. And
It's
we wouldn't
funnier in
have a
Dutch.
super chat that Nathan gave out. Right, I'll read the super chat. He says, "Smash the super chat, support the QE channel." Because I said so much information and nobody's super chatting. I mean, this is worth many. Yeah, this is truth, man. And this is, we all need to know this. That they lie to us with these abiogenesis and things that come from nothing. Nothing comes from nothing, right? And also not from thunderbolts or whatever.
Lightning bolts. But thunderbolts is
Yeah.
cool. I like it. The thunderbolt. Yeah. It's good. And I hear you, but we're in some strange times right now. So I understand it. I don't hold it against anyone. I understand the complicated nature of where we're at. So that's okay, folks.
Did you thank Nathan for the super chat?
I did not thank Nathan for the super chat. I'll do that in private.
How would that look?
Eye contact. Eye contact.
Oh my god! Oh my god! That's nasty. That's wicked.
On then, maybe, John. I've just got. I mean, first of all, thanks. Really brilliant breakdown. There's one bit that I do like. It's kind of one of the things we teach the students about the importance of racemic mixtures in life, and you kind of brushed over it there. But in terms of putting these things together, you stated that obviously any primordial soup that we were to presuppose, in of itself would be racemic. Now, implications to probably the simplest way to put it in an analogy is, I think everybody's heard of thalidomide.
I was just gonna say it and ruin it for you. Go ahead. You rock, man.
So that's a great example of how important stereoisomerism is in biology. What an important role it plays and how a massive difference it plays. And John said, put simply, it's basically the same molecule, but it's a mirror image. There's a central point with 4 points coming off that you might imagine a ball with 4 cocktail sticks coming off and different coloured balls on the top. If you was to put it in a mirror, you'd have the same molecule in the mirror. But actually, that molecule in of itself is non-superimposable. They're aligned differently. And now this has massive implications of how all biological systems work. It's very, very, very important. So in relation to thalidomide, this knowledge wasn't particularly well known when it was brought out. Now, thalidomide is a fantastic antiemetic antihistamine, which was used in the treatment of pregnancy for nausea symptoms. Fantastic, worked absolutely well. And if it wasn't for its bad press, could be worked exceptionally well today. The reason it caused all the fatal abnormalities is there's a levo and a dextro version of this, and a left and a right stereoisomer. And when they put the drug out crude first, it was this racemic mixture, the other one side, the extra side, I think it was, that had the fetal abnormality effects. You'll see it today. People who've got thyroid deficiencies, they don't have thyroxine, they have levothyroxine, which is the one side of that mirror image of the chemical molecule, because that's the biologically active form. The other side doesn't do anything. End of my pharmacy lesson. Sorry.
No, it was a good lesson. That it's really, as soon as you started talking, I said, I know right where he's going. Yep. Those racemic versions are deadly. Deadly. Yep. Thanks, Adam.
Can I shout out the super chat?
Oh, you forced a super chat?
Yeah. Yeah, one from Rookie Alive, and he says, it's sure QE thinks he is, oh my god, that sentence. It's sure who QE thinks he is, but I'm starting to like him. Betty, please say stupid.
Can you read the first part of the sentence? I didn't catch the first part.
Oh, shut up. That was difficult.
Dave, what do you mean? Yeah, try to get him to super chat again.
I said, it's sure who QE thinks he is, but I'm starting to like him. There's no comma, point, whatever in there. So I
wait a second. Let me scroll. Okay, let me scroll back. Okay. He's typing this on the phone, you could tell. It's sure who QE thinks he is. That doesn't make any sense, man.
He starts to like you.
Be, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who QE
I'm not sure who QE thinks he is. Oh, I got it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And someone else said
stupid. I think you've got to do it like that. That's why he's intimating.
Stupid. Yeah, but I always say stupid.
That was contrived.
Oh,
that was a question. There was a question that didn't get answered. So, who do you think you are?
Yeah, who do you think you are?
I'm Quantum Eraser, brought back from the future as the Globe Terminator. I'm all that and a bag of chips. How about
don't
that?
impress me much. Sorry, it wasn't my track yet.
Who has a hankering for folk songs?
Oh, we got another super chat, by the way. Can I shout? It's from Darwin, and he said, I sold my park collection to afford this super chat. I don't know what a park
Pogs.
What is that? A pork collection?
The little things you got free in bags of crisps.
What?
That you could stick together. Pogs.
Really?
Worthless collection, I think, is the point of the...
A worthless collection, okay.
Is that an English phrase? Because the American phrase for POG, that's POG. That's personnel other than grunt.
Yeah, that was the idea. Okay. And is Ricky alive again? Says, I'm not sure QE thinks he is. Crap, cost me $14. Says stupid again, and it's worth it.
So now not contrive. Just say it like you always say it.
Stupid.
That's it. And Nathan, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. Love you.
Pleasure.
Rocky, you rock, man. Kind of redundant.
My super chat money comes out of my toilet paper fund. That's stupid.
Yeah, so to more or less wrap this up, is Professor Dave...
And toilet paper?
Yeah, yeah, and flush it. Professor Dave, I don't know you personally, but I've seen a couple of your, how would you say, appearances on shows, and your condescending attitude, and this is from one person to another. See, we exposed you here today. You shouldn't be putting up any more videos. Like I said, your subscribers, I'm sorry, your YouTube career is over. Now, they might stick with you, but in actuality, it's over because you're a pretender clown. You wouldn't know your ass from a pipe wrench, son. And I showed that systematically, step by beautiful step. That's what happened here today. I'm sorry for your loss. Not really. All righty then. Yeah.
Was that it?
Yeah. Final thoughts.
Is that a wrap?
Can I do a quick plug?
Oh yeah,
send your audience
most definitely. Yep.
So yeah, starting right about now ish will be the Flat Earth debate uncut and after show. So somebody can be here or be sphere on. Thank you very much for having me. Excellent ways.
Thank you, sir. Adam, final thoughts, sir.
Yeah, well, I'll echo it. Mate, great presentation, mate. Really structured in terms of laying the foundation so you could understand the misrepresentation from the ice cube and onwards. I hope it was useful. I didn't geek it out too much. But one thing I would say, I'm just having a quick look in chat, and I just want to give a quick shout out to Rakia Life, Mr. Nathan Oakley. I know Betty's in there.
Rakia says, can you plug his channel? So, Guy's been dropping all the super chats. Click on the super chat, or as it goes by chat, click on the 3 dots, go to channel, and subscribe today. Dave Rakia Gafford or Rakia does make videos. Matt.
Yeah, and they're excellent, by the way.
Himself, Mr. Nathan Oakley, Betty Van Velsen. I see Emma UK in there. Me and John's done it. We've laid our tracks down, guys. I can see you there. I can't wait to hear it. I'm looking forward to it. Owen, I think he's on it. Emma, I think she's like a born Eartha Kitt. I'm looking forward to hearing her sing a very husky, sexy, kind of 20s smoky saloon song. I can hear it now. I just urge you all, guys. Times are fucked up right now. Pretty fucked up. And I just thank John for what he did to show his humanity, that whatever we're doing in this ball, like whatever we're going through, whatever we're being put through right now, nothing wrong with showing a bit of humanity. So I'd urge you all to follow mine and John's lead and give us a tune, guys.
Yeah, and I want to do a shout out to Robert Bassano, who's in the chat, and he says, "Quantum Eraser, what the f are you still debating these idiots for redundant settled arguments for?"
No, I'm not debating them, Robert. I'm exposing them as the pretender clowns that they are for everyone to see. Not debating. There's no debate here. I mean, he doesn't even know he doesn't even know the second law of thermodynamics while portraying himself as some type of chemist, I think, or what did you say before, Adam? I don't even know what he is. He's
I understand him was a degree in chemistry.
Yeah, really? Mail order degree from Tuco Community College in Tobago.
And then 2 failed attempts at a master's.
I could see why. You don't understand the foundations. Second law of thermodynamics. Are you kidding me? This
Just a couple of things.
Go ahead.
You got a last minute admin from Sam Hine, and as we've dragged on a bit, I'm going to plug my show again at the end if you don't mind.
Oh, no, I don't mind. Hey, Sam, thanks, man. Sam the man, appreciate it, sir. And Betty, we already took you. Go ahead and say it.
What do I need to say?
Did he have a message?
Nathan took my fire away, right, from the super chat.
So last
No,
minute.
it was Sam Hine. Last minute admin, he says. Yeah.
Outstanding, Sam. Thank you very much. Nathan, take us home, sir.
Just once again, massive thanks to Quantum Eraser and people who smashed the super chat. Thank you very much for having me. Be here or be sphere on the Nathan Oakley channel for brand new Flat Earth debate, uncut and after show.
All right, Betty. Thanks a lot to Adam and Nathan for joining. Appreciate it, gentlemen. And the beautiful Betty Van Velsen. We are going to take it on home. So, Take no prisoners. No quarter will be asked. None shall be given. And remember, I'll be back.